in the film that's here today. Is Caylee here? Anybody else? So we have 20 minutes. I'll spend the first half of questions, and I'll turn it over to the audience for the last 10. So, DOUA, we already know who you are. Can your colleagues quickly introduce themselves and their roles?
Hi everyone, I'm Caylee So. I'm the director of the movie.
I'm John Haslog. I'm the producer.
We have like the editor and the music
have
composer.
I'm Frank, I'm the editor. I'm Roman, I'm the composer.
So I'll start with you, Caylee. Can you share what you found surprising and what has been the most rewarding aspect of this whole process as a director for you?
For me, the process itself was very interesting because it was such a huge ensemble. And we had to work with the dynamics of all the family members. And I'm not Hmong, I'm Cambodian American. So it was, I think we had talked about this film in June, and then I was directing it by November. So I had to have like a really crash course in the Hmong culture and the Hmong history, and to be able to get the specifics of it. What I found very surprising is that I love watching wedding videos, especially Hmong wedding videos online, just to get those Hmong wedding scenes correctly. But yeah, I really enjoyed kind of workshopping the scenes with all the actors on the set. So, yeah.
DOUA, you are the screenwriter. I'd like to know, what was the impetus for writing this script, telling this particular story?
What inspired was after I shot Gran Torino, I was like, there's not going to be another role for me, because during that time, Asian was not it. We didn't have Crazy Rich Asian or Everything and Everywhere. So I kind of like took a step back and say, what story I want to tell. I mean, the original story was primarily just the father and the son's son and the kidney situation. And as I grew older and, like they say, wiser, I kind of add to the story and developed it within 2 years. Yeah.
So what is it like seeing your work come to life on screen?
Amazing, yeah. I mean, it feels great, because like there's not a lot of Southeast Asian stories out there, and particularly Hmong story, and just to have a vast of different Southeast Asian ethnicity on screen together, to compile this film, and also have Perry and Don and Krishna to be part of the family is, I'm surprised it's even got to this point, so.
And I was just texting earlier today saying what a miracle it is to actually get this film.
Yeah.
So we actually agree with that.
John, can you talk about your process in helping make this film, like touching on some of the challenges you came across?
So I came involved because DOUA just told me one day, hey, you're gonna produce this film. And
I love it.
then he was gonna be like, we're gonna shoot this in 3 months. And luckily we convinced him to give us a couple extra months to do pre-production. Caylee was very helpful in that.
Yeah. I said, it's not possible, brother. Not in 2 months.
Then I think our next biggest thing was we were shooting this in November 2021, so it was right at the tail end of COVID. And so we were definitely dealing with that every day on set. Luckily, throughout the entire production, we didn't have a single case until the back party.
And that wasn't me.
For our editor, also, can you talk about maybe some of the challenges that you came across working on this project?
Absolutely, yeah. I worked on set actually for this one. Normally I never work on set. I'm the editor, so I stay away from that situation usually. But I was looking for a challenge. I wanted to be on set. I wanted to be a part of it. They wanted me to edit on set. That was not as easy because there's people talking all the time and shooting something. But it was great. It was hard. 12-hour days is for real, and the amount of work people put into it, camera, grip, electric, production design, all those people were busting their butts. And they're long days and you're tired, and yeah, this movie, it was surprising we ended up making it because it was a lot of work, and I think we're really happy with how it came out.
And for our composer, how closely did you work with DOUA or Caylee to come up with the score?
Sure. I mean, I work very closely with Caylee. You know, it's funny when you'd watch a scene as a composer and you think, what can I bring out here? And sometimes you get it wildly wrong, right? Like I'd watch the wedding scene and I wanted to make it happy. And Caylee walked me through the inner workings of how in this culture, there's also a lot of sadness. It's why the mother's crying. It's why, you know, you have to work closely with storytellers who are intimately involved with every process from the beginning to the end, because I'm just coming in at the end usually, and I'm trying to find the emotion that I'd want to bring, but it's really not about that. And so we found something that made Caylee happy, and then I was happy, and then DOUA was happy. So yeah, very, very closely with Caylee. It was a pleasure to work that way.
So Caylee, you know, now that the film is out in the world for the public to see, what remains your favorite scene that you shot?
That's kind of a tough one.
Or maybe what was the toughest scene to shoot?
The toughest day to shoot is the wedding day, because we had 8 pages of script to shoot in one day with about, I think, 80 something setups, and we were just thinking that was impossible, and it was very nearly impossible. So a lot of the wedding scene, to me, we were like really proud that we could get that up there. You know, some of my favorite moments to shoot is probably like the more quieter moments with the family. The scene where he walks into the hospital and he says, "I love you." That's like one of my favorite scenes still while watching it today. I know we had talked a lot about that. The intimate moment with you and Don outside on the porch too. Yeah, there's kind of like a lot of like intimate moments that I really enjoyed directing in this film.
I can open it up to the audience. Anybody have questions? Don't be shy. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm one of the programmers for Outfest. Thank you, Irene. And so I would like to ask a question to, I'll start with Caylee and DOUA. So how much of an intentionality did you have on having Asian people behind the camera? And what were the conversations that you had regarding the cultural specificity in post-production, especially with the editor?
I think that starts with DOUA, because I mean he hired me, so I'm grateful. But no, I think for us it was trying to keep the authenticity of the Hmong voice as well. Even though I'm Cambodian American, I think there was a lot of history that the culture share, and I believe we talked about that. Yeah, I think it was very important for DOUA to be able to have that kind of perspective, to have a person who understood where this family functions and the complexity of it. Because even as I watch it, I understood that there's like no villain in this particular movie. It's just the complexity of the way Southeast Asian family works, and in that manner, I when I came on, I really wanted to give like all the family members a sort of moment or arc, or like they're the hero in that their own version of the story. Yeah.
And also, just because we're shooting in during COVID, and also during just rigorous schedule, it's great to have, Southeast Asian behind this camera too, where they understand, the complexity of this film, the script, and how things need to be placed, and, for production design and so forth. And
yeah, and also in that manner, I relied very heavily on like DOUA and the producers who were Hmong American, and even the actors who were Hmong. All the extras, I would always be like, having conversations about what it's really like to grow up in the generation of Hmong Americans, and then also the production design and things like that. We were like sharing pictures of what his house would look like, or then we would try to implement that into the scene, and DOUA would come on set and he'd be like, no, that would be there, and we just follow what DOUA would say because he's now like, Hmong PD, Yeah. Person.
Hey guys, first of all, great job. It was a very emotional roller coaster, so I thoroughly enjoyed the film. I'm a big fan of the show Warrior, so seeing Perry Young play the father was definitely a nice surprise. So my question is, what was it like crafting such a raw, visceral relationship with an actor like that, or even just like with the rest of the family? How long were the rehearsals? How much prep time did you guys have? What was the process like creating all these relationships?
There wasn't much rehearsals. Yeah, I think the most rehearsal we did was probably the biggest scene was the first dining scene. I think that was the most rehearsal, the only pretty much rehearsal that we had.
Well, you see what happened is I got hired in July. We shot in November. It was during COVID. Perry was in New York. I think I asked for like a table read on Zoom, which never happened. Yeah. So the way it works for me is I'm a flexible director, and I said, okay. So this is how indie we're gonna do this. All right. So we have like 42 setup days, very long days, and we rehearse right before we shoot. So I have to find those moments, and I need to know how the scene is going to function, how it's going to work and gel together within 15, 20 minutes of however long camera takes to set up.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, it definitely was a very interesting challenge as a director.
She could definitely shoot a Marvel movie if anybody.
Anybody else have questions? Yes. Just project.
Okay. Yes, so great job, everybody. The film is beautiful and amazing. You all did amazing. I feel like the film was very, very deep, and I feel like each and every one of us, we all know that families are not perfect. They're beautiful, but we all have our imperfections. I'm sure that there were moments and pieces that we can all feel like we can relate to within our own families, right? And so, DOUA, this question is for you. It's hard to stick with a project unless it means a lot to you. And so obviously this means a lot to you. My question is, what motivated you to create and write this, and who did you want to see the most with this film? Who did you write it for?
I mean, I initially wrote it for me because I'm an actor initially. Yeah. So, but to be honest, I wrote this film because my cousin came out to me, and that's how I kind of add the element into the father and son story, and the mother and then my sister kind of grew up and became this, a bumptious sister. So I kind of like created that character into a Sue, but the thing is, the gist of creating this film is literally for us Asian American and any community out there to start having an honest conversation with themselves and also there with the family and how to navigate through that. And I feel like people might say they've seen a film like this, especially like a father and son story in this way. If I went through my Rolodex of film and it's like I haven't quite seen a film like this. So the thing is, I feel like this is a film you know, that will resonate with any community. And I hope, you know, you could take it home and start talking about it and, you know, not be afraid to have those honest conversations, because there's a lot of taboos and, you know, spoilers in there that, you know, that we are afraid to talk about as an Asian community. You know, it deals with mental health, how the generational gaps that we don't really talk, you know. So there's a lot of space in there that could start a conversation within our family or within our community, and not just the Asian community, but, you know, the Black community, Latin community, even in the Caucasian community, you know, because it is a universal story. So.
Any other questions?
Don't be shy.
I know. Okay.
When you watch a film, you usually walk away like feeling hope or feeling energized, or there being like something that you could learn from the film. When you were making the film, what were you hoping that the audience would walk away with?
You know, for me, I'm always hoping that an audience will feel something about the film, no matter what it is. So I'm always hoping for that. I don't necessarily think like I know the film has been called pointed, and it does take a point of view of a certain generation, but I hope that like, the new generation can pull from some sentiment and feelings on it.
I have a question. What do you take, or what have you learned from your craft for your next projects, or from this project? Like, what would be something that you could share about, just in terms of, as a director, as a writer and an actor, that you can share from this? Like, what did you learn that was different or surprising or?
Never shoot a film during a pandemic. But as an actor, it's literally, you know, I learned to become a better actor or more rounded actor by all the directors that I worked with. And you kind of have to, when you walk onto set, your first initial step on set, you're always curious and wonder like if you're good enough. And when the second day or third day, when you know you don't get notes from your director, then you're just kind of like, I want notes. You know, so the thing is like, as an actor, you have to also trust your director that they got their shot and they're moving on. And if you get notes, like, it's how you could alter or see a different perspective, and don't be afraid to ask if that note doesn't make sense to you, because actors are human beings, and sometimes you are conflicting with you as a person and you as that character, because you already kind of seeing how you want to play it out ahead of time, and sometimes you're just like, from the different perspective of the director, it don't work. So you have to take the notes, and you just have to incorporate into your character development within that scene.
Yeah, all that. No, I'm just kidding. No, this was an interesting one for me because DOUA and I work really closely together on this, and because he's like the writer of it and the actor of it, so many times on set, you know, as a director, you come in, you have the vision of what the character is, and the writer and the actor has a vision of what the character is, and then you learn how to navigate that terrain very carefully, and to find something that I think works for the both of us. That was something new and interesting too. And then on the case of Perry fucking Young, he's amazing. So like, you know, as soon as like his name popped up, and DOUA was like, how about Perry Young? And I was like, Perry Young, hire that guy. You know, so like being able to take your time to cast very well. And I knew that going into this, as I talked to DOUA, I was like, you know, I won't have enough time on this set So we have to cast so perfectly well that when we get on there, it's just gonna move. And I think that's where I kept telling myself in the pre-production of it to take my time on that. And the other thing, as a director, you kind of just learn to be flexible with what you have. I know that like a couple locations dropped as we were shooting the film.
Yeah.
I knew that like Lucas, I don't know even know if he's here, but Lucas, who plays Casey, there was an original actor, and I found out while we were shooting that actor had gotten a gig on a network television show and couldn't do it anymore, and so I had to like recast like 5 days from shooting or something. So it was 2 days from shooting. I hope that answers your question.
So DOUA, are there more scripts?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple script, but it's not the process of pitching it to producers and and just kind of seeing which route we want to go as studio or indie or so forth. But we'll see. We're in a weird time right now with potentially writer's strike, if you will.
How about you, Caylee? What's next for you?
Yeah, I'm developing a horror drama.
Yes.
So, yeah, a period piece horror drama. So hopefully that will go into production in the next, couple of years or something. Yeah.
And gentlemen?
Yeah, we're gonna find a distribution for this film.
Yes.
So we'll see if we can do it. And me and Joe are gonna make the next film for GU.
Just waiting for Caylee's next project, actually. And we're working on the side on a little short documentary right now.
Yeah. Frank and I went to film school together. So he's been my partner since, I don't know, like 12, 13 years. And the only stipulation I have of like signing on to a movie is like, I take Frank with me. So,
And I'm working on 2 documentaries. I'm scoring a film for Disney and one for HBO. Nature documentaries and sports documentaries. So a little different.
Congratulations, everybody. That's all the time we have. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you for supporting this film. Remember what the producer said, they're looking for distribution. So if you have any connections.
Or reviews.
Oh, and reviews. If you're a writer and you would like to write a review of this film, I'm sure it would help the film very much. Thank you for supporting Outfest Fusion, and we hope we see you at another screening.
And we have a camera guy out there. We would love to get your reaction on this film, so please drop by to your camera guy and ask you some questions about the film. Thank you so much.
thank you for coming out and looking at us.
I know, right?